we are discussing the social exchange theory today with one of my classmates, the wonderful and extremely intelligent Noah Paul. Today we are discussing social exchange theory that was developed by Thibault and Kelly. This theory is kind of fascinating because it unpacks relationships, as a whole, like why people stay in relationships and why they deal with certain things instead of the alternative of leaving. Basically, why they make the decisions that they make in a relationship. Um, whether you're a communication scholar or just a curious listener or someone interested in the dynamics of human connection, get ready for a deep dive behind the logic of our social choices. Welcome, Noah. Appreciate you. Thank you for coming and joining me tonight.
Thanks for having me, Charles.
Okay, well, we gonna get straight to it. I guess my first question for you is, what what is social exchange theory, and how do you say it explains relationships?
Okay. Well, social exchange theory is a way to understand why people choose to stay in relationship or decide to leave them. And the basic idea is that relationships involve an exchange, and people look at what they gain from a relationship and what is caused them to stay in it. And according to the theory developed by Thibault and Kelly, these decisions are not always intentional, but people are constantly evaluating how a relationship makes them feel. And the theory helps us understand satisfaction, commitment, and decision making in relationships by focusing on rewards, cost, expectations, and available alternatives.
Okay, okay. All right. Now, I did hear you mention cost. How how would you say that rewards and costs appear in daily relationships?
Well, so in everyday life, rewards are the positive things we get from relationships, such as emotional support, love, trust, companionship, or feeling value. And costs are the negative or draining parts, like stress, conflict, feeling ignored, giving up personal time, or emotional exhaustion. So most people don't sit down and calculate these things, but they feel them. And when rewards feel greater than cost, the relationship usually feel worth it. Um, but when cost begin to outweigh rewards, and then people start to feel frustrated or dissatisfied.
Okay, okay. All right. I guess my next question would be, how the theory also addresses the concept of outcome value. Um, could you kind of clarify this definition for us?
Sure. Yeah. So outcome value refers to the overall balance of a relationship. And it is a result of rewards minus cost. If someone feels they receive more positive experience than negative ones, and then the outcome value is positive. And if the relationship feel more stressful than rewarding, then the outcome value become negative. However, social exchange theory explain that outcome value alone does not determine whether someone stays or leave. Instead, it becomes a reference point that people compare with their expectations and alternatives.
Okay, all right. Now you mentioned expectation, and it kind of leads me to my next question. Now, personally, what role do expectations actually play in social exchange theory?
Well, expectations are explained through comparison level. And comparison level represent what a person believes they should receive in a relationship. And these expectations are shaped by past relationship, family experiences, cultural values, and even media. And if a relationship meets or exceeds these expectations, people usually feel satisfied. If it falls below their expectation, dissatisfaction can occur, even if the relationship still have some rewards. And this explains why satisfaction depends not only on what's happened in that relationship, but also on what a person expects from it.
Okay. All right. That's a good answer. Now now staying in relationships. Now, what would you say if I asked you why do some people stay in relationships when they seem unhappy?
Well, this is where the comparison level of alternatives become really important. Comparison level of alternative is about what other options someone believes they have outside of the relationship. Even if a person is dissatisfied, they might stay if they think their alternatives, like be single, starting over, or entering a new relationship, would be worse. People mistake because they don't see better option available. On the other hand, if someone believes their alternative are better than their current relationship, then they are more likely to leave. So staying doesn't always mean happiness. It sometimes means stability or lack of perceived options.
Okay. All right. I have one more question for you. Now, why is social exchange theory um still important today? And I guess this is a two-part question. And how can it help us understand real life relationships?
Well, social agent theory is still really important because it explains real human behavior in a very practical way. It helps us understand why people stay in friendships, uh, why people stay in marriages, work relationship, or any type of relationship, and why they sometimes leave. So social agent theory reminds us that relationships are not just about feelings, they are also about expectation, perceived fairness, and available alternatives. So when we understand this theory, we can reflect on our own relationships, recognize where satisfaction comes from, and communicate more clearly about needs and expectations. And it also helps leaders, counselors, communicators better understand relational decision making in everyday life.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you. That's a wonderful explanation. I want to thank you for explaining that to us and bringing your expertise. But, unfortunately, that is all the time that we have for this episode. And, I really want to thank Noah Paul for joining us and just keeping the conversation going about communication in general. Um, I just want to just all the listeners to really think, about everyone's relationship that you have, whether it be marriage or, platonic at work or whatever. Just keep these things in mind that, the social exchange theory is real. And I challenge each and every one of you listeners out there to just notice the subtle calculations that we all make each and every day, each and every interaction. Um, and just consider how social exchange theory might navigate, each one of our social world. But once again, I'm Charles Talbert, and we were joined by Nalpa, and you have a wonderful day. And until next time.
Thank you.